so this is in response to some of the Duplieren discussion that's been going on. This is going to be like a one-take kind of thing, so I apologize if anything that comes out rough. We're not, shooting and editing this stuff or whatever. So, so whatever comes out, comes out. So what I want to do here is just kind of illustrate physically some of the stuff that we've been talking about, just to make sure we're all on the same page, and so that we all kind of are on the same page. The other thing is I want to emphasize up front the different things that we've been looking at, the different options for Duplieren. Personally, actually, I'm not really in love with any of them. I think they're all still things that are either very difficult to do, or they're probably the subtle things that we need to do to still figure them out. And so I don't have a personal favorite or anything really at this point. I think the biggest thing is to have us all sort of discuss and try and figure out what are the trade-offs for all these different things. And if it turns out there are 2 or 3 different things that all work well for Duplieren, then we should all have them as different options. So really the focus here is just on trade-offs and on specific caveats about what might go wrong if you try to do some of these things, so that we can try and close some of these tactical loopholes, as it were. So, all right. So next we're going to go ahead and actually do some of this stuff. Okay. So the first version we're going to look at is the outside pass one. So from here, so I'm going to give some hard pressure here, and as soon as he feels that, he's going to come in as deep as he can, so that he locks out this blade, and I can't really do anything. So that's what we're going to look at, and I'm going to just talk about some concerns that I have, and why I would do some of these counters to them. So the first thing is, just that raise. So as he does this, he's raising up here. So I'm going to do it now, just with the mask on and everything. So this is without footwork. Okay. So this first version, from here, he does that. Great. That's what it should work. And then the next thing. So at the very least, even without moving, I think it's at best, I think, very difficult for him to deal with that. The more he steps out, the more he can sort of press down. But I would think it would be pretty difficult to try and to actually try and still hit me over here. So now I can turn and whatever. So I think, at least as an initial defense, I think that's not bad. So then one of the questions was, why do this extra triangle step? And my answer is it makes things better, and you're not using your feet. So if you're using the hands and you can throw the feet in as well, why not? And so as he does this, rather than just doing this, same thing. So this makes it even harder for him to actually get at me on this side. So under sort of best case scenarios, those things sort of cancel themselves out. So maybe it's a stalemate kind of situation. I think the worst case scenario for him, it might actually be worse than that. I don't know if I can do it, but so I can get pretty close to and actually potentially hit him with that. So again, I think just that triangle is something to be thinking about, that somebody could actually get more of an angle on you that way. So anyway, something for people to play with. So that's one concern. The other thing is, as he does his thing, right, he's coming in and doing this. So if we say that, I can do this counter. The other thing I worry about is, how well can he lock me out for that second action? The action I'm concerned about, I don't know how many people would actually do something like this. And I'm not saying it is a smart thing for the person on this end to do, but I'm thinking more for the sake of this person. Would you try a technique that you are not sure that you can be safe for yourself about, even if you do hit the other guy? And that's a tactical, philosophical debate what we can have online. But here's what I'm worried about. So he does this thing, I do this, and right after this, what's keeping you safe from something down here? In my experience, that's a pretty tough thing to try and defend against. So again, here, that's my concern. And again, I'm not saying that he's not going to hit me. He probably will. But would he try something like that if he were not sure he could cover 100%? That's really the core thing. Yeah. So those are just 2 of my concerns, or however many concerns that was for that particular option. So enough of that. You guys can all talk about it online, and then we talk about some of the other options for the Duplieren. Okay, so here's the second thing. This is sort of the thing that I had suggested. And again, like I said, I'm not necessarily a fan of this either. I think it's just maybe a little bit safer than the other one, but I think there's a trade-off, which is it's actually harder for me to hit the other guy. So here's the thing. So from here, rather than stepping out and going this way, I go this way, going for that. So he gives me that forward pressure. And I try and do this. If I can clip in on this the way over, that's fine. One of the things I point out about this is I'm not going to stop here, right? So I'm going to do this, and then if I can, actually try and come around further if I can. To me, that's actually the sort of winding in and out stuff that Meyer talks about and other people talk about. So I think that's an important, follow-up to the Duplieren. That's something to consider. But having said that. Remember, he's still got that same counter that he can do. So as I do this, there's no reason he can't do that. So the important thing about this version is that by stepping this way, it lets me sort of use sort of the crump. I can convert it into a crump basically in order to be safe. But I gotta be watching this. I really have to be making sure that I cover this center line very well. And I may very well abort hitting his head very early on, depending if he does the right thing. Anyway, so basically it kind of looks like this. So if I can, I'll try and hit there on the second tempo. But I think it's tough to do. So, it could be. I'd have to think about it. I'm not sure if some of the if that low strike that I suggested as a concern for the other one is something that we have to think about as well. Probably is. We'll have to think about it. Actually, I think stepping this way actually helps me press down on it to keep a low strike to this leg from happening as easily. But it's still a concern. So something to think about. The final thing is, honestly, I think the best thing I like right now is sort of is this. So I like this step, but rather than and actually, that's another thing. If I get this response which crosses the line too far, then I honestly wouldn't be doing Duplieren anymore. Right? So if I feel that this happened, I'm going to come around and do something else. So this is really more hard line response right on the center line. This is where you can do the Duplieren stuff really well. So if he doesn't go too far, so if he stays in the center, don't raise your hands. So if you're just like, basically relax, go for this sort of thing, right? Towards me, right? Yep. So if that's the kind of response I'm sort of getting, then you can do, this sort of thing. Well, rather than going here, more of a plow response that way. So go ahead. Yep. So yeah. So I guess from a bind, I think people were saying about the indice idea. So yeah, I think it'd be from here. Quickly try and actually see if we can get that. And I like that idea. I think I could buy that. But I think there are sort of textual issues with that as well, because I think some of the stuff that people talk about, I think WMAC specifically says raising hands, and I don't know that you're really raising hands in that case. You're crossing them, but I don't know that you're raising them. So, but from a practical level, one of the things I notice is that from here, I think, other people notice this. From here, this guy works really well real quick. So, you can do it without using the feet. But I say, why not kind of get the best out of all worlds? Do this while you're doing this, and if this doesn't work, you can keep coming this way. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully that wasn't too rough and whatever, but that's what you get when you do rough videos. So, all right, that's it.